Meteorologist Shane Smith here. Friday, January 23rd, 2026. The winter storm is almost here. It is wild to think we have been tracking this thing all week. Third live stream this week. I don't know that I went live 3 nights in a row since I've been doing weather here on Facebook and YouTube. But this is it. This is the one. This is going to be the worst winter storm we've had in Kentucky in a while, possibly 10 years. The last one of this magnitude that really jumps out to me was the winter storm back in 2016. Um, this could be comparable to that. And this one is going to impact the entire state. All 120 counties of Kentucky are going to see some kind of major impact from this storm. And it is crawling across the plains tonight. You've got heavy snow in Oklahoma City, even the potential of thunder, snow, and thunder sleet in Oklahoma tonight. Wild to think about. It is snowing and sleeting that hard. I've seen thunder sleet one time in my life. I've seen thunder snow twice. So let's get right to it. Let us know where you're joining from on both Facebook and YouTube. If you're new here, first time watching, my name is meteorologist Shane Smith. I'm a broadcast meteorologist turned media teacher from London, Kentucky. I've been studying the weather professionally now since 2008, and I am ready to talk about this winter storm and its impacts on the bluegrass. Will there be snow on the beach on the East Coast? Yes, dear. Um, do you think it's going to snow in Pikeville tomorrow morning? Austin Kendrick joining us from over on YouTube. Not tomorrow morning in Pikeville, Austin. It is going to be out in the afternoon in Pike County. Let's check a couple other places that folks are joining us from. Kentucky Logan coming to us from Pike County. At Woodsman, hoping for sleet in southeast Kentucky. I would much rather get sleet than freezing rain. Dwayne Russellberg joining us from near Buckhorn tonight. Norma Wells from Stanton. Rhonda Graves joining us from LaPorte. Weather sucks tonight. Yes, it does. Janet Bruner joining us from Corbin. Linda Moore joining us from Jenkins. Josie Kilburn from Keevee. Mark Halcomb from Duffield, Virginia. James Beatty from Barberville. Everybody wants to know how much ice, how much snow. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it. So, there is the storm. It is tracking east. It's going to arrive in the bluegrass tomorrow morning. Camera network is clear right now. If I do end up going live at some point tomorrow, you're going to see a lot of white flying on this. Oh, whoops. That did not switch to the right one. Let me fix that real quick. Sorry, folks, a little producing on the fly. There we go. There's the winter storm warning. Winter storm warning now out for the entire state of Kentucky, all 120 counties. And every state around us has winter storm warnings, except also down in Tennessee. Notice some of those dark purples. They actually have an ice storm warning in Knoxville. So they are not as worried about the snow down there. But there is going to be some significant freezing rain in East Tennessee. So if you're going to be down in Knoxville, Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, down towards Chattanooga, that's going to be an ice storm down there. And that can be just as dangerous, if not more dangerous. So this is going to be pretty nasty. All right, so let's not waste any more time. Here's what everybody's here for. I've got 3 forecast graphics here for you. Uno, dos, tres. Snow, sleet, freezing rain. Let's start with the snow. The snow, in some ways, is the easiest to the forecast, but is also going to be the most impacted by the other two. And these are very much fluid. And honestly, I have not tweaked much since yesterday. I have separated them out into different graphics now, but the snow forecast has not changed much. Just a few little minor tweaks here and there. So up in the red, Covington to Louisville to Owensboro to Paducah, 10 to 14 inches along the Ohio River plus. Would not surprise me if some folks up there 16 inches, maybe even more. We get any thunder snow up there, add 2 or 3 inches onto that. Down in the pink, Central Kentucky, 8 to 12 inches plus. Once again, we could see what's called a deformation band set up on the north side of this low tomorrow. If that happens, watch out. You could see snowfall rates close to an hour or two or snowfall rates 1 to 2 inches per hour. Down into the purple, this includes places like Murray, just to the north of Bowling Green, over towards Columbia, Danville, back up into Mount Vernon and Richmond, over towards Moorhead and Ashland. 5 to 8 inches of snow, and I'm cutting the snow totals lower as we go south because I think we are going to see more freezing rain and sleet in the south. And honestly, y'all, down here in the blues and the 3 to the 6 and the 2 to the 4, we may actually go higher than that. But then when that freezing rain and that sleet comes, it's going to kind of compact everything back down. And then we are going to put a little more snow on top of everything Sunday night. So there is probably going to be 3 to 4 inches of slush to stick your ruler in down in southern Kentucky, and probably 3 to 6 inches in the darker blue shade. So it is going to be hard to get some clean, separate measurements because this is going to become an icy conglomeration of yuck and mess and awful. Because in southern Kentucky, we started off as snow. We may get upwards of 4 to 8 inches of snow. And then we start piling sleet on top of that and compacting it down. And then we put freezing rain on top of that, and we put a nice glaze of ice over and make a solid sheet of ice to dump an additional inch or two of snow on. It is going to be some of the nastiest winter weather we have ever seen if this all plays out right. Like, it's just going to be a slush cake. Excuse me. Oh, my goodness. It is going to be a mess and a half. Okay, so that is the first component of it. Here's the sleet component. I think the sleet is going to be heavier in south central Kentucky, over towards Bowling Green, Hopkinsville, E-Town. I think they've got a better chance of sleet over there. Thank you guys for blessing me. Much appreciated. In the dark brown, up to 2 inches of sleet. Yes, up to 2 inches of sleet. Some of the late day models came in very, very aggressive on the sleet. So that is something to keep an eye on. Now, sleet, not as bad as freezing rain. Still going to cause travel issues, but not as many power issues with sleet. In the darker orange, up to an inch, and in the lighter orange, up to a half inch of sleet. So I think pretty much I-64 south, you've got a chance of seeing some sleet. This is mainly going to be tomorrow night and early Sunday morning for the sleet. We all start out as snow. We then go to sleet. And then we start adding in the freezing rain. The freezing rain is going to be worse in southeast Kentucky. This is where the forecast has changed the most as I've looked at the new data throughout late last night and early today and throughout the day today. I now have far southeast Kentucky and a half inch to 3/4 inch of freezing rain in the dark purple. And that is not good. We get that much freezing rain, power outages are almost a guarantee. I'm hoping we end up on the lower side of that. I'm hoping we bust that and go way lower than that. But that's kind of what I'm seeing from the data. We'll look over some of the data here in a little bit. We step up into that next tier, kind of that middle shade of purple, not quite pink, or the darker pink. That's a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of freezing rain. That's still enough to cause major power issues. Anytime you get over a 1/4 inch of freezing rain, most power companies say start to expect power outages. And then in the light pink, going from just west of Bowling Green up to E-Town, Lexington, Moorhead, up to a 1/4 inch. But that is going to taper off quickly the farther north you go. So hopefully this ends up not verifying. If I want any part of this forecast to bust, this is the part I want to bust, and I want it to bust low. I don't want any part of freezing rain. Freezing rain is going to be a mess. And yes, Kentucky Logan, Pikeville is in the purple. Hazard is in the purple. Whitesburg, Hyden, Hindman, Harlan, Middlesboro, Manchester, Barberville, Pineville, Corbin, Williamsburg, London, Somerset, Stearns, Monticello, Whitley City, Russell Springs. Chris, there is a chance, and the GFS keeps saying snow, 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 although it is starting to show more freezing rain now than it was before. We may take a look at that here in a bit. Start times have not changed this today. I've held with it. May need to tweak it just an hour or two earlier from some of the latest data, but I think it's still overall pretty good. It's going to start in far western Kentucky early tomorrow morning, 5 to 8 a.m. We get over towards Bowling Green, somewhere in that 8, 9 a.m. to noon range. London, I would be where you need to be by noon. Louisville, be where you need to be by noon. Hazard, be where you need to be by noon. Lexington, be where you need to be by noon. Because it's going to start quickly and then go downhill after that. Up to the northeast, we are looking at probably after 2 o'clock in the blue. So, for most of us, this is going to be a hunker down and just wait it out. Adam Woodsman on YouTube asking, can the Jackson Weather Office switch this to an ice storm warning? Yes, that is a possibility. They are not quite as aggressive on the freezing rain as I am. I may pull up their forecast and show that. They're going a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. I didn't like a couple of things I saw on some of the data this afternoon, especially with the 18Z run. The battle between the warm nose and the cold coming in from the north, it's going to be intense, and I honestly don't know exactly how it's going to play out. Let's go to some of the modeling and show you how it's all resolving everything. Here's the Canadian model. I think overall, just based on how reliable the Canadian's been lately, because it has been on a tear and a half. It has been crushing it where both the GFS and the Euro have fallen a little short lately. So I'm going to ride this pretty aggressively tonight. I think it's got a pretty good handle on it. Here we are, 4 o'clock. Notice just off to the southwest of Paducah and Murray is the snow. There are the temperatures. If the Canadian model is right, this snow is going to be coming into single digit and teen air. So instead of a 10-to-1 snowfall ratio, we may run 20-to-1. So for every 1 inch of liquid QPF, 1 inch of liquid precipitation, 20 inches of snow. That is the kind of ratio we'll be running at the beginning of this. And up in northern Kentucky, they're going to be running high snow ratios. This is going to be a dry, powdery, champagne snow, skier snow, whatever you want to call it, up in northern Kentucky. Down in southern Kentucky, it starts off fluffy, but it turns slushy quick as we crank those temperatures up. You're going to see that here in just a second. Let's go into the future. Here we are. Oh, let me back that up one. 7 a.m. Snow breaking loose, Paducah, Murray. By 10 a.m., E-Town, Russell Springs, maybe even up to Lexington. I think it may be just skosh fast there, but notice temperature still single digits and teens. That's going to be very efficient snow. Here comes the warmer air starting to come up. Snow now at Hazard by 1, Moorhead, maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, Lexington, Louisville. 4 o'clock, the entire state should be seeing snow. And it will be heavy at times. And especially, you start to see this sleet coming in from Tennessee, this dark purple. On the north side of that transition from sleet to snow, you can get some absolutely obscene snowfall rates. Maybe up to an inch per hour. Now, here comes the sleet late Saturday down along the Tennessee border. Although it is going to blow my mind if we see sleet at 20 degrees in Williamsburg. It is fully possible, but I think the algorithms on the future radar may be a little off there. Now here we are at 1 a.m. This is where I could definitely see the sleet starting to pick up a little bit. Maybe a touch of freezing rain as that warm nose pushes in. The big question that I have as we go into this is what wins the fight? Is the cold at the surface going to win, or is it the warm air aloft? Because if we put down a heavy, heavy snowpack, let's say we overperform in London and get like 8 inches of snow. As that snow starts to evaporate, as sleet starts to hit it, or as rain starts to hit it, you are going to have cooling. So it can reinforce the cooler air. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the thermodynamics of this play out Sunday morning and how that affects everything. So here we are, 7 a.m. Heavy snow, northern Kentucky. Still that fluffy, light snow. We've got snow and sleet in central Kentucky. Freezing rain in southern eastern Kentucky. Trying to get plain rain in there in the mountains of Virginia. We'll see. Maybe in the afternoon. Maybe. Like it's showing Pikeville getting up to 32 by 10 a.m. With some downsloping, I could potentially see that, but then you get drying, you just get some really crazy processes going on. And there is going to be so much going on tomorrow and Sunday with this storm. Here we go into 1 o'clock. There is the potential that maybe in Pikeville or Whitesburg, we do change this over to plain rain thanks to a little bit of downsloping. Downsloping being if you get a southeast wind coming over the mountains, as that air comes back down, it actually warms and dries. So you may actually see some less intense precipitation and some warmer air moving in. We'll have to wait and see if that happens or not. But then as we go into Sunday night, we change it back over to all snow. And I think we start to develop a northwest wind and get the upslope machine going. So that means more snow back into eastern Kentucky after the fact. Maybe an additional ½ inch to an inch on top of whatever frozen mess we have. And I think scattered snow showers, even though they're not showing up as well on the Canadian model, do persist. All right, let me take a break and answer some questions. All right. Yeah, that warm nose does get old, Atten. Hyper Kimberly on YouTube. Hi, Shane. Thank you for your dedication and coverage of this event. We've missed you after you moved on from WYMT. Glad to find you here. Hey, glad you found me. Glad to be able to talk weather here. Thank you for joining us from Corbin. Not rain Monday morning in Pikeville, Austin. You'll be back over to snow. All right. Speaking of snow, sleet, and freezing rain, let's show you some of what the models were showing. Oh, let me adjust that real quick. Sorry, we're going to do a little producing on the fly. That's 10-1 snowfall totals. We don't want that. Sorry. Thought that preset had saved. It had not. All right, here's the Canadian models take on the snow. Give me just 1 second. Yeah. Sorry, folks, some new... Ah, that's the wrong one. There we go. Trying to make it to where you can see everything. The reason why this is important, why I didn't go 10 to 1, when you see this Kuchera algorithm, this takes into account the temperature in the atmosphere to give you a more accurate snowfall ratio. So that is my preferred snowfall forecast. So here's the Canadians' take on the snow. The Canadian model, that is. So you'll notice you got Williamsburg down there, 1 to 3 inches. Middlesbrough, that's got you like at 2 inches. Hazard, 6 inches. London, 5.5. Lexington, 12. Louisville, 12. And the reason those are lower than they have been earlier is because the sleet is heavier. I think the sleet is likely overdone. The Canadian does have a bias to overdo sleet. But the Canadian model is trying to spit out 2.5 inches of sleet from Murray to Hopkinsville to Bowling Green to Columbia, and even 1.5 inches in Berea. That would be an obscene amount of sleet. I don't think we see quite that much, but that is something I am watching the potential for. And then the old freezing rain. And like, that's even going higher than I was. That's going 0.8 of an inch in Hazard. I hope the Canadian is wrong. Because if we get that kind of freezing rain in here, in this area, look out. That's going to be power outage city. That is an obscene amount of freezing rain. So I hope for all our sakes, the Canadian model is wrong. So we shall wait and see. Don't know about live tomorrow, Austin. I don't want to promise that just in case we lose power. I will do my best to provide some updates tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and see. We will also be partially at the mercy of a 5-year-old who has a lot of energy and gets really excited. And I definitely want to play with him some in the snow before it gets too crazy. So let me know if you've got questions about snow in your neighborhood. I have pulled the snow map back up for y'all while I get some stuff reset behind the scenes. Once again, the heaviest of the snow going to be up in northwestern Kentucky, northern Kentucky. We will be watching for the potential of over a foot of snow in a lot of spots. You are going to be seeing just absolutely crazy snowfall ratios from this event. So, if you have questions, Jonathan Johnson, can we go back about 5 days ago when Millsboro was getting a foot? Right? Wouldn't that be nice? The good old days when we were burying Middlesboro down in the crater. It never works out that way. I wish it did. I know so many folks in Middlesboro have been clamoring for a good snow. And that, folks, that's why we don't say... Or that's why we say don't get too excited with one model run. Historically, anything coming out of the south around here always comes further north than what the models are showing. It's just a bias in most of the modeling. It initially pushes everything just too far to the south. All right. Is that 3 to 6 inches of snow in Pikeville? Yes. Leslie County, Bear Branch. I have most of Leslie County in 2 to 4 inches, Bonnie, and that's because of the more freezing rain I'm expecting down there. The north of the Hal Rogers Parkway, you may get 3 to 6 inches. So the northern part of Leslie County is more in that 3 to 6 inch zone. Renji, storm in London should start around noon. Hyper Kim and Corbin asking how much ice starts to cause problems for power lines. Historically in Kentucky, you start to see some problems around 1/4 of an inch. Once you start going into a 1/2 inch or greater ice accretion, you are talking major power outages. Jeff and Starla Steely asking about East Bernstead. Yeah, I've got East Bernstead in the 3 to 6 inch range. I think London is going to be the Highway 80 corridor. London over to Manchester, over to Somerset. Going to be a little bit of a dividing line. I think north of there, 3 to 6 inches. South of there, 2 to 4. Although, like, it honestly would not surprise me if, like, Corbin got 4 or 5 inches, and then we put the sleet and freezing rain on top of it, and it just compacts everything. Sasha Haywood watching from Harlan. Sasha, thanks for joining us. I wish I had better news for Harlan. I am extremely concerned about freezing rain in Harlan. It would not surprise me if Harlan picked up a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of freezing rain Sunday. Susie McCoy asking how much snow for Mount Sterling. I believe I have Mount Sterling in the 8 to 12 inch. Yes, 8 to 12 inches in Mount Sterling is what I have you guys at right now. Henderson, Kentucky. What time, please? Hang on. Elizabeth will pull that up and show you that. Let me pause the chat for just a second, guys, so we can show some of the snow arrival times. We got a lot of people asking about that. We'll come back to your question. Crystal, remind me about your measuring question. I've got some ideas about that. Okay, let's talk timing again real quick. Here we are, 6 a.m. I switched models. This is the NAM free case. So this is the high-res NAM. It's a little slower than the Canadian. It's showing snow breaking out 10, 11 o'clock in western Kentucky. And then overtaking the area. This is 4 o'clock. So Henderson, you guys are back over in here. I would say be where you need to be by about 10, 11 a.m. in Henderson. Because after that is when it's going to move in. I saw there was another timing question. Let me see where that one was from. And sorry, folks, I am getting bombarded with questions, so give me just a second. How much snow? I am concerned with the freezing rain in Middlesboro, Jonathan. 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch. Bobby Whitesburg, about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch of freezing rain, 2 to 4 inches of snow. Snow arrival time in Floyd County. Rhoda, probably 3, 4 in the afternoon ish. Brittany Day asking power outage situation for London. Brittany, I think power outages are going to be likely from London down to Corbin to Williamsburg, east to Pikeville. Pretty much take the I-75 corridor and Highway 80 over to Pikeville, that far southeastern part of Kentucky, that has the highest risk, in my opinion, of power outages. We'll take this NAM model on out into the future. Here we are, 7 o'clock Saturday night. It's got a pretty similar idea with the Canadian model that we were looking at earlier. Notice that heavy, heavy snow band in southern Kentucky, those darker blues. That may be snowfall rates, 1 to 2 inches per hour. If we're going to see thunder snow with this, it will likely be either tomorrow night or early Sunday morning. We may even get thunder sleet. Yes, there is the potential of thunder sleet with this. Now, one thing about the NAM model to note, folks, is it does have a bit of a warm bias. So it is likely overdoing the rain just a little bit there. I think most of that will be freezing rain. So, now one thing to watch too, as that low winds up, you are going to see some just near whiteout conditions in central Kentucky Sunday afternoon and evening. And then we kick the upslope in. And this model only goes out 60 hours, so there is a limit on how far we can take that. So that goes out till 2 a.m. Sunday. So not as aggressive on the snow. There's its sleet totals from the NAM. Ugh. 9/10 of an inch of freezing rain on Williamsburg from that model. Inch plus down around Lake Cumberland. We do not want. Now, I think the NAM is probably a little overdone there, but it is interesting to note. I do not know if there are any hotels in London that have a generator. Renji, I would tell you, if you were hedging your bets, I would get a hotel closer to St. Joe Hospital, because that will be the first place to get power restored. They always keep the hospital powered up first. Austin, there is a chance of power outages. See, we got a lot of folks coming in on Facebook right now. If you're just joining us, it's almost 9:15. I'm meteorologist Shane Smith. We've been going for a little over 30 minutes right now. We're forecasting this winter storm as it is moving across the plains, heading towards Kentucky. Winter storm warnings out for the entire state of Kentucky. We've got ice storm warnings to our south, down around Knoxville, Tennessee. Still a lot of questions about how exactly the system plays out. Where do we draw those boundaries between the snow, the freezing rain, and the ice? I know my forecast has been a little bit more conservative on the snow in southern Kentucky than some other people. Cool. You know, everybody's got their own take on things. I know historically, we have been a little bamboozled when it comes from southern storms down here. We tend to get more ice than snow, so I factored that in as I was putting my forecast together. If you have questions, post them up in the chat. I'm watching on both Facebook and YouTube. Okay, we'll go ahead and take that. Speaking of other forecasts, I'll show you what our friends over at the National Weather Service office in Jackson are showing. I know that's a little hard to read on the screen, but the yellow kind of gives you a six. The light yellow gives you a 6 to 8 inch range of snow. The dark blue is kind of a 4 to 6 inch range. The lighter blue is like a 2 to 4 inch range. But they are noting some spots that may go a little higher than that. That is their snowfall forecast. So you'll notice it's close to mine, maybe a little heavier. And then there is their ice forecast. That's partly why their snow forecast is higher and my snow forecast is lower. I'm going a little higher than they are on the freezing rain and the ice potential. The freezing rain is a pain to forecast. And everything that falls is going to stick with us for a while. Check out these temperatures. Are we going to get much freezing rain in Stanton? Norma, yeah, I don't think it'll be as much in Stanton, but I would still plan on about 1/4 inch or so. Austin, I think you'll see snow lingering into Monday in Pikeville. I think you may see a few snow showers Monday. Jared asking, any chance of the storm track shifting? Yes, always that potential. I don't think it'll swing too much further. Owen and Grant counties, Firm Foundation on YouTube asking when will it start up there. Probably after 1 o'clock, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon up in northern Kentucky. Beautiful country up there. But yeah, there's the temperatures, and you notice we don't go above freezing again on this forecast from the GFS. That is just incredible to think about. We may not go above freezing again for a while, which is kind of insane to think about. Just unreal cold, and that's honestly, I want to take just a second to talk about that. That's one of the things that does concern me the most about this storm is the cold after the fact, and that we could have widespread power outages. This could legitimately become almost like a humanitarian crisis when you look at the fact that we're going to have air temperatures below zero, wind chills 20 to 30 below Tuesday morning, and we may have widespread power outages. I know some towns have already started putting out plans for warming centers. Definitely be aware of that. Know where your centers are. I would also make sure at least one vehicle has a good tank of gas in it. If nothing else, you can warm up in that a bit and charge your phone. Try to get a message out if you get stranded without power and need to try to get to a warming center. Do not try to ride out 13 below temperatures with no alternative heat source, folks. Don't risk it. That could be serious. That could be deadly. And I don't use that kind of tone often. I'm not saying that to scare you all. It's just so you're prepared and you know the possibility. I hope we don't get that bad, but I want y'all to be at least aware that is potentially a problem when you're talking as much freezing rain as we're talking. I mean, there's that freezing rain forecast. 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. Nothing to mess around with. Oh, going back through trying to see if there's any chats I've missed. If y'all have questions, please. Ice in Pikeville, yeah. If we see freezing rain in Pikeville, it'll be late Saturday night and Sunday morning in Austin. Sonder, that's 13 below zero without wind chill. Give me 1 second. I will get the wind chill map pulled up. And we'll take a look and see. No momento, por favor. Producing on the fly. Yeah, here we go. This is going to blow y'all's mind. This is the wind chill forecast from the GFS model at 4 a.m. East Coast time on Tuesday. 20 to 25 below zero. Renji, I think we got about 4/10 of an inch in London. It was maybe 3/10 to 4/10 of an inch on that storm. It wasn't quite a half inch. Marjorie, I don't believe in magic. I believe in prayer. Take that to the guy upstairs. I just try to predict it. Loretta, I think it is going to be some heavy freezing rain in Knox County. So right now, I've got Knox County 2 to 4 inches of snow, a half inch to 3/4 of an inch of freezing rain. Hypercam, general ETA on London Corbin should start around noonish, is what I've been saying. Give or take an hour or two, so somewhere in that 11 to 1 o'clock window is my best guess right now. Sondra, we have had that kind of temperature in Kentucky, but it does not happen often. But yeah, that is the wind chill forecast for Tuesday morning. And like even Wednesday morning, you're still talking single digit wind chills. Just brutal, brutal cold. Uh-oh. Amanda, you may need to pop over next door. Also, not to be the bearer of bad news, we may do a little light snow Wednesday, Thursday. A little clipper system, mainly Thursday morning. So I don't think a lot of kids are going back to school this week in Kentucky. And we'll wait and talk about next weekend after this, because there may be some stuff out there. We shall wait and see. All right, so just to recap a little bit, we're coming up on 9:30. I don't think we'll stay on much longer. I think we've kind of covered most everything. So if you've got any final questions, start getting those in. To recap, snow. Northern Kentucky, 10 to 14 inches, isolated higher than amounts. It would not surprise me if somewhere up there it goes 16. Crystal, great question. Crystal asking, how do we measure this mess? Crystal, I would try to run 2 snowboards. I would run one for snow and clean it off after we make the transition to sleet, measure the sleet, and then transition that, clean it, and go back when it goes back to snow. And then for the freezing rain, just take a ruler, measure the diameter of it off of the center of the branch. Snow first, then freezing rain, then back to snow. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. We've been at it for about 50 minutes. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Like and subscribe. Share this out. Follow me on Facebook, X, Insta. That's where I will have the most updates tomorrow. I'll try to pop in with some quick videos here and there, and we'll see about another live stream potentially tomorrow night. Fingers crossed we still have power. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, Sarah, not going to be good being sandwiched in the snow. It's just going to make for a slushy mess. All right, guys. I'm meteorologist Shane Smith. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, stay weather aware, and I will catch you guys.